Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Courtside with Coach Crist show. I'm Greg Crist. That over yonder is Dave Gorby, my faithful co-host. And we appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight to the March 28th edition, getting up in there to springtime now. And I want to remind everybody, as we always do, make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up and like us on Facebook as well. That helps us keep this kind of stuff going. So we appreciate that as well. Gorb, we're taking a little turn tonight again. We kind of did last week with our guests, but tonight we're doing a little something different. No guest.
It's happened before.
Yeah, it has. It has. And when people cancel out on you last minute, it's hard to get a fill in. Right. You know, it's hard enough getting one, but let's get two lined up. So Gorb and I are going to wing it tonight and just talk a little bit about all the stuff that's going on in the sports world. One thing that has not changed though is the fact that we go out to our one eye in the sky, our Chopper One NRN traffic and weather guy, Mr. Muggy McLeod. Muggy, are you out there?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Coach.
Hello, Muggy.
This is Muggy McLeod and the spectacular misty rains, although slightly hard of hearing, with your one eye in the sky, NRN Chopper One traffic and weather report.
All right.
All right, I'm coming to you with some live action over Detroit as we look down on the Sweet 16.
Oh, nice.
And no, that's not a reference to P. Diddy's arrest warrant. However, there are almost as many people running around here as there are federal agents at P. Diddy's three homes.
I got you.
Yes, sir. As we fly over Detroit Rock City, we see a spotlight shining into the sky. Don't get excited, Mr. Gorby. It's not Southern X. It's just the elaborate events and spectacular sights going on outside of Detroit's Little Caesars Arena.
Oh.
Yes, where there's a lot of basketball to be played.
Yep.
And, wait, there's a guy on roller skates spinning a Little Caesars pizza sign on his finger down on the corner. Yeah. Oh, no, wait. That's Bill Lambier with a sign that says, "We'll use teardrops to wash your windshield for 25 cents.
There you go. A lot of people don't know who Bill Lambier is, but I do.
He's a big baby, Coach.
Yes, and I got it.
Yes, sir. And there's more activities going on. A colorful parade of all types is being led by an exotic drum major in a sparkly dress. Oh, wait a minute. That's Dennis Rodman back in town for the tournament.
Oh, got all kinds of celebrities.
And, of course, there's Isaiah Thomas right behind him, crying and complaining.
Yep.
Oh, my God, Coach. It's the 80s all over.
Oh, man.
Yes, sir, Coach. There's a lot of trafficking going on up here as well. And, yes, that was a P. Diddy reference. Anyway, I'd advise that everybody avoid the area as much as possible. And I guess that goes for just about any time of the year since it's Detroit, for God's sake.
Sure.
Yes, sir. So, okay, Coach, on to the weather brought to you by your local Little Caesars, where by mentioning this ad, you will get a free P. Diddy concert ticket with every pizza you buy.
Wow, that's a good deal.
Yes, but only at participating carryouts in your neck of the woods.
Uh-huh.
Yes. I'm not going to tell you which ones because I wouldn't have a clue anyway.
That's right.
Anyway, and I'm guessing those tickets probably won't be redeemable for at least 30 to 45 years.
Probably.
Okay, Coach. Yes, sir, Coach. And, all the weather. Okay, Coach, the weather today was okay, but it's going to get crappy over the weekend. So anyway, happy Easter to you, and get out your mowers.
It's that time of year, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
All right, Muggy.
It's time for my neighbor to pay somebody to mow his yard while I have to mow mine.
Help me and you both. So that sounds good. Happy Easter to you and Misty Rains. Make sure you would tell her, don't eat too many deviled eggs. We know what that does to her.
Yes, sir. It certainly does. It makes it smell like Detroit Rock City here.
All right, Muggy.
Okay, Coach. This has been Muggy McLeod and the misty, twisty rains with your one eye in the sky, NRN Chopper One traffic and weather report.
All right, Muggy. Be safe out there.
Yes, sir, Coach.
Over and out.
Over and out.
Shut that helicopter off, Muggy. Couldn't get his helicopter to go off.
It's okay.
There it goes.
There we go.
I think he was hanging on trying to hear what we was going to say about him before he actually hung up. So that was Muggy McLeod coming to us from Detroit. That's kind of an odd place to pick to be at tonight, but to each his own.
Wherever he wants to go. I mean, I guess he has enough gas money to do that.
Yeah. Muggy McLeod, he was complaining about the funding, and now he's over in Detroit flying around. So I don't know. It is Muggy McLeod, though, so you never know what's going to happen. All right. Also, segment we've added a few weeks back, our Hell Yells and our Hell Nalls. And I got a couple of good Hell Yells, I think. Mm-hmm. So my first Hell Yeah is local guy doing good, Fayette Countyan, Monty Jackson, named the head coach at Marshall University men's basketball.
Cornelius.
Courtney Jackson. I said Monty.
You said Monty.
I said Monty. Well, there's Monty. There's
two Marshall guys. That's what you're thinking about.
Monty, Corney, Benitez. There's a lot of them. Yeah, and they all have nicknames. So, I meant to say Courtney Jackson. So, congratulations to Corney being named the head coach at Marshall. I think that's pretty cool, Gord.
Yeah, he's been he's been to a couple places, and he's been D'Antoni's right-hand man for the past,
I think I read somewhere 7 or 9 seasons, maybe.
Yeah,
I
think it's definitely been like that because the funny thing I remember is Press Virginia beat Marshall.
Right.
And he was on the staff, and that was like 17.
Yeah.
Something like that, 16 or 17.
Yep. So congratulations to our local guy. Went to Oak Hill High School here.
Yep.
Great player. Now doing a great job coaching. So taking over at Marshall for the Thundering Herd. Congratulations to him. On the other end of the state, another hell yeah is WVU just hired a new basketball coach, which we're going to talk a little bit more about that tonight. And I even said last night, I'm not sure about his name, but Darian DeVries is what it looks like. I think I heard a different pronunciation.
I thought Tony was saying DeVries.
DeVries, yeah. They discussed it on the air the other night, and I couldn't remember which way they went with it. But Darian DeVries, then the new head men's basketball coach at WVU. And I think most people, just like they were with Neil Brown, are satisfied with this pick.
Yeah, the good thing is obviously we've been looking for one, so we're kind of out ahead of everybody. You think of, has Oklahoma State hired one yet?
Not yet.
And I'm sure this guy was on their list to go there. Louisville hasn't hired anybody yet, have they?
Not that I'm aware of.
So you're looking at programs that we kind of look like we're even with, and we're kind of ahead of the game. It's looks like a solid. Every time you hire somebody like this, you're gonna say, "Yeah, it's a great hire" before anything happens. But his track record kind of stands with it. So
and we'll get to that here in just a little bit and talk about it. One of the funny things I saw the other day, somebody on Twitter said if you could have a 4-1-1 with Coach DeVries prior to the season starts, what would you tell him? And people were saying, go to Pizza Al's and have pizza, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, don't lose 2 games in a row or they'll be ready to hang you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Based on the Neil Brown treatment, you ain't got much time.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, we'll talk again some more about that and give you a little bit about his history if you don't know it, which I'm sure most people that are fans do already know it, but we'll still talk about some of it, why we think it's a good pick and why we think it's a good choice. My Hell Nalls, got 2 of those. First of all, and it affects tonight, which is on right now, which is probably why nobody's watching us. The Sweet 16 starts tonight, and my Hell Nall on that is not that it starts tonight, but the game times is what's got me. And I'm like, why? And I know what it's money, and they've got these other channels involved, and I get all that. But my goodness, I mean, the feature game of the night, in my opinion, is Iowa and Illinois. Iowa State.
Yes,
and Illinois.
That's like a 10 or 10:30,
10:30 or something like that.
And
Lord have mercy,
Coach, we should just pack up and move out to L.A. because I know we got the money to live out there.
Oh, so. I guarantee you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I can stay awake and watch all that. That's what ticks me off about it. I lay there and half asleep and can't even watch the game because I'm sleepy. So that is one of my Hell Nalls. The game times by the NCAA, and this all started about 7, 8, 9 years ago when TNT, TBS, those True TV, those channels got involved showing the games and stuff, and they want to split them up and all that, and I get all that, but come on, it started a little bit earlier, so they're not on so late, and that game won't be over 12:30, 1 o'clock,
Oh yeah,
and that sucks for people, especially if somebody may have to work tomorrow. I know. Yeah. It's Friday tomorrow, so a lot of people have to work. A lot of people aren't going to be able to watch because of that. If I were still, working, I wouldn't be watching it for sure. Now, I'll try to stay awake tonight, but I ain't betting any money on it. So I might just I'll be like, well, I like to watch, but turn on ESPN first thing in the morning, it'll be on there. So why bother? So my other Hell Nall and I got a little pushback this from last night from Daryl Prue, but my other hell no is Caitlin Clark and her behavior in the game the other night. Mm-hmm. And, my take on it last night is the same as it is, and I didn't change my mind, and I argued the point last night. She's a heck of a player, no question about that.
Right.
And, everybody talking about her being the face of women's basketball now. I get that. And, we'll see when she goes to the NBA how much of a bump it has on the game. I don't think it's going to have much on the game. I think it's, it gets to a level where it can get to, and that's it. Mm-hmm. It may peak and drop and, that sort of thing, but I don't think it's going to be a huge impact later on. Somebody even asked the question if they thought that the Mountaineer faithful would turn out more for WVU women's games. And, they said we need to average 5,000 a game. And I said, sadly, that's not going to happen. And, I think people will turn out a little better, but I think as time goes on, it'll just fade right back out. I don't think it will be a big bump. But I think one of the problems, and watching the other night, her behavior was not good. And, she complained about every time down the floor. She was complaining to the officials. Even her dad told her to shut up one time. They showed him in the stands. And then one time after she made a three, she turned around and said, "Shut the F up." Whoever, I don't know who she was talking to, but she was playing on her home court, so obviously wasn't her home fan. So, I thought, and Daryl's argument last night was, well, a lot of people say that, but I think a lot of it's because she's a girl. And, the cameras are on them all the time. And he said if you knew what went on in the college men's game on the floor, the yapping, and in the NBA, the yapping, and I get all that. I know that. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's any different for a man than it is a woman. If you yell, "Shut the F up," right with the cameras in your face, you're going to have some negative implications from that. And I think there's a lot of people watching her curious, That was the first girls' basketball game I watched this year. And I was ticked off and mad at the officiating and our girls for missing threes. But I watched her and I thought, my gosh, is she always like that? And I read a little bit, and she does the complaining quite a bit. I don't know about the language thing. I don't know.
Hey, did you know that one official is a native?
Yeah.
You did know that.
Fairmont native. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. We couldn't tell it. Anyway, but we'll talk a little bit about that girls' game as well. We'll hold off on too much commentary about that because we'll do that later on. But I just thought her behavior was bad. I think there's a lot of young girls probably are watching her, and I was hoping to ask our guest tonight if she watched her and we wanted to emulate her game, her style, and all that, which is a good thing to do because she's a heck of a player.
Right.
But at the same time, she has to understand that she is a role model now, whether she likes it or not, just like Charles Barkley. And you have to conduct yourself as such. Got a lot of young eyeballs on you, and it don't offend me, but it offends a lot of people. And I think she has to be more aware, I think was what I would say to her. Just be aware that camera's in your face all the time, and people can read lips. And when you're so animated about it, it's very easy to read your lips and what you said. And you don't want to be doing that. And I think a lot of people really hammering her now, too, over that. And I've seen a lot of pushback on the social media and on the sports shows talking about her behavior, and I thought it was pretty bad. And I think she needs to work on that. That's something in part of her game that she can improve, and that is part of the game.
Right.
She needs to improve on that. And I get the trash talking and all that. I mean, you do see it in all levels. I get it, but it don't mean you do it right in front of a camera, and it don't mean you do it when 5 million people are watching. You got to know. All right, people are looking at me. Don't say F.
Yeah.
Shut the F up. So anyway, that's my hell no's, my hell yes for this week. And a couple of good ones, I thought. I don't know what you thought. I'm sure you weren't real impressed, was you?
Man, I thought we played as good as we could.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, golly, that was we missed a couple easy shot. Well, they weren't easy. But they were just close to the basket that we could have had there in the first half, and not really in the second half. I thought they played pretty damn good there in the second half, real good. And the last few minutes kind of got us there. But
Well, we'll move on and talk about that a little bit.
Okay, my bad.
Here in a minute. We'll get into it a little bit deeper. What we're going to do, we'll take us a break.
I got one. Hell yeah!
Oh, okay,
I know I haven't been good at this.
Yeah, you sucked at this, man.
Hey, Grandview is opening April 1st. That is a hell yeah.
I knew it had something to do with golf.
Golly, man. I know. I mean, love, Bridgehaven's been good to us, hooking us up a little bit, but I'm ready to get on the home course.
I heard that. Well, it is a good hill. Yeah, it's that time of year, man. It's getting warm, and hopefully the snow is all behind us, and we can get outdoors a little bit now. The only bad thing I hate about it is I got to mow my grass tomorrow. And
I gotta do my yard too sometime.
It's getting out of control already.
Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what I'll say. Maybe
I'm going to Stonehaven on Saturday.
Yeah,
so
better get it done tomorrow. Yep, better get it done tomorrow. All right, let's get this quick break in. When we come back, we'll discuss a few of these topics, and just going to be me and you doing it tonight.
We'll get into it. We got it.
Got some good stuff to read off to you about the Sweet 16, some good stuff to read about Coach DeVries, and some other good things here to bring you. I think you'll enjoy. So I hope you'll stay with us here on the Courtside with Coach Crist show. Greg Crist, Dave Gorby coming to you from McGuffin's Mystery Hole out here on Gatewood Road. We appreciate you watching, and we shall return.
Wrestling is coming to you every Thursday at 9 p.m. on the New River Network. See hard-hitting wrestling action from today's rising stars in independent wrestling. If you are a wrestling fan of any generation, let us introduce you to the hottest wrestling promotion in West Virginia. You can also join a live show at the Crossroads Mall. Retro Reset Wrestling is coming to you every Thursday at 9 p.m. on the New River Network.
Welcome back to the Courtside with Coach Crist show. Greg Crist, Dave Gorby, coming to you live from McGuffin's Mystery Hole out here on Gatewood Road. We mentioned several topics that we thought would be interesting to talk about tonight. I know I've been talking about them for several days now, and it's always interesting to get everybody's take on it. The first topic of order we were going to talk about was the new coach at WVU. The men's coach was just named Darian DeVries, and we don't know if we got that name correct or not, but we'll definitely find out and make sure one way or the other. But I had some stuff here I wanted to read about him so people would know. I don't know how much people have listened or watched him or anything like that yet, but a couple of things I'll say about him. He led Drake to 6 consecutive 20-win seasons. He has a 73% winning percentage. That's pretty impressive there as a head coach.
I'm not trying to throw at you, but did you hear like the stats that Wren was saying today? He said those two stats. So Drake has only had, I think he said 11. Yep. 11 total 21 season. He has six of them. Yep. And then their all-time percentage, is it on there?
Let me see here. Nope, I don't see that anywhere.
So they had a percentage of only like 46% of winning throughout their whole history, and his winning percentage is
73%.
I mean,
yep. Spent the last 6 seasons at Drake. He led them to 3 Missouri Valley Conference titles, and that Missouri Valley Conference is a pretty good conference.
And I think they only been, he said that too, and I want to say they only been to 6 or 7 NCAA tournaments, and he's led them 3.
He had 3 of them, 3 NCAA tournament appearances, 150 and 55 in 6 seasons there. He had 55 and 15 in the last 2 seasons, which is almost 80%, 78.6%. And, he had a 78-33 record in the MVC. He was hired there prior to the 18-19 season. Like you said, they had 21 seasons, 20 win seasons in program history. He led them to 6 of them in his 6 years there. So all 6 years had 20 wins or more, which says a lot about him. This past season, they were 28-7. They won the MVC tournament and their third NCAA tournament appearance in the last 4 years. It's the most victories, 28, are the most since recording 28 in 2008. And just going through his season, starting with 18-19 season, they were 24-10. They entered the CIT tournament to 19-20. They were 20-14. The postseason was canceled, of course, due to COVID. 2021, they were 26-5. They were in the NCAA tournament that year. 21-22, they were 25-11. CBI quarterfinals, I'm not sure what CBI is. 22-23, they were 27-8. And then this past year, 23-24, 28-7. So, one of the things you look at, I think, when you're looking at these coaches, basketball especially, and you see what the progression has been in their time at the place that they're at. And, you had 24 wins and 20 wins in the COVID year, 24, 26, 25, 27, and 28. So they have, been pretty steady throughout his time there. And again, Drake is, you would, if you ask people, who are your top 20 basketball programs, you recognize Drake would not be in that top 20 in most people's, probably not in the top 40. And for him to be so successful, it shows a little bit about how good a coach he is. The other thing I liked about him, and I talked about this last night on our Mountaineer show, you listen to him talk, you can tell he's a quality person. He's a family man, obviously. He's got 2 young kids. Culturally, it's a good fit, I think, coming from Iowa. Not much different than here when you actually get right down to it. He talked about Morgantown with all the good things he had heard about the city of Morgantown, the university, the program's history. He talked about all those things. And, I think just listening to him, you can tell he's just a solid person. And you watch his team and you watch him coach. You like his demeanor on the sideline. It's, good to watch. He's not over there ranting and raving and carrying on all the time. Not that, some people do that, some people don't. I know our Coach Eilert didn't do that either. But his demeanor on the sideline is good. And he had good players, and they were a good team. They played good defense. They worked hard. They ran nice stuff offensively. It just looks like, he knows what he's doing. The other thing I like about him is he has a 6'7" son who they said would have been a top 5 portal guy had he got in the portal, who is transferring with him, obviously, to Morgantown. And I watched him play in that first round, and he's a baller. That boy can play. And I think that'll be a great fit and benefit to us. And there's also a couple others, one little left-handed guard, a freshman that they talked about maybe coming, and I think he probably will. He looks like an awful good player as well. Daryl brought up last night, well, you got to make sure you have Big 12 talent. I'm not sure all those guys are Big 12 talent. I'm telling you right now, his son could play in any conference in the country. His son is a ball player. And like I said, he's 6'6", 6'7". He handles the ball well. He shoots the 3. He dribbles it well. He's just a solid player, you can tell. I don't know if you saw him or not, but he's good.
No, I've really never watched him play. I've seen highlights, since we hired this guy. I've never watched how highlights are, but I've never really watched their games itself. Obviously, the funny thing is, Drake knocked off. They weren't the 1 seed in their tournament. Right. They were the 2 seed, and they beat the 1 seed. And I think everybody wanted the 1 seed in it because Indiana State had that big center, Avila or Robbie Avila. I got to watch him play. Cincinnati there, was that last night or 2 nights ago? 2 nights ago. Man, that place was jumping. I tell you, that was a pretty good basketball game to watch there.
That was another thing that we talked about last night was, or I mentioned was, how Indiana State is doing and how, basically they're making a point to the NCAA. We should have been in that tournament, which they probably should have, and not Virginia. But those teams that rejected the NIT. I just thought, those guys want to complain about not making the NCAA tournament and saying they deserve to be in it and all that. We'll get in the NIT and win that and prove it and say, hey, we expected to win this NIT because we're good enough to be in the NCAA tournament. Yeah. Get in there and prove it. Don't say, no, we're not going because we should have been in the NCAA. That's ridiculous, I thought. And I think there were 6 teams.
St. John's was one of them.
Yeah.
Patino definitely. He wasn't happy.
Yeah, and I'm like, instead of pouting about it, I mean, you're upset. Everybody gets it. But don't deprive your kids of a right to play in a tournament. Give yourself that extra practice time, and then go prove a point to the NCAA and say, see how good we are. We should have been there. Don't back away and say, no, we're not playing. We're mad, so we're not going to play. I thought that was pretty sad, and I think it reflected very poorly on those universities. And I don't remember all of them, but I know there was a Big East team or 2 in there, and they were probably right. I mean, they probably did get shortchanged on it, but it happens every year. There's always people complain about not getting in that should have gotten in, and I mean, there's 64 teams. There's going to be a few that are probably good enough that don't make it. And a lot of these teams win their tournaments, and when they win their tournaments, they get an automatic bid. That's what what's the coach at Michigan State, Izzo? Yeah, that's what he's wanting to change. He says he needs to take away those automatic bids to these mid majors because it takes up too many spots. I'm like, that's because mid-majors beat you guys in the tournament. So
that's what happens. I thought Grand Canyon was going to pull off the upset there last week. But going back to our program, he's in a situation, like you said, the good thing is he's bringing his son along, and, that's a good first step. Like, what do you think, how many people do you think is going to stay from our team right now?
Well, I know one that's already announced they were leaving.
Seth Wilson.
But I think when they see a 6'7" point guard coming in that's a top 5 portal guy, that means playing time is going to go down. And I think that's probably what he saw. I don't know.
Is there just for you? Name one kid that's on that team now that you like for to stay.
After watching him this year,
I know, but I'm just.
I think Crist would be okay if he would just stick around. Yeah, get that another year in. I guess he gets another year. I wouldn't mind seeing him stay. I think he needs to play in a system where there's more. He's more under control and not launching bombs. I think he's a good enough player that he could fit well in their system. I don't really know if there's any others that I would really care one way or the other if they left or stayed.
I got you.
I can't think of any others. Of course, I'm not real familiar too with all of them that's already graduated or was seniors. I don't know. Is Raekwon Battle, does he have a year's eligibility left or not?
So he was done. I think he's done.
Okay, Battle's done. Farrakhan, I think.
Jerson, actually, he had. I think he has another year.
Yeah, Farrakhan's back. I do know that. And he probably could be a pretty good player. Again, in a system, you got, it looked to me like those guys this year, it was just all helter-skelter offensively.
Yeah.
They did a lot of one-on-one stuff, and I don't think we had, other than Battle, too many one-on-one players. He was capable of getting his own shot. Most of them weren't.
Well, what about a guy, this is who, of course, you name Crist because he can be a point. Like you said, you put him in a system, and he's the point guard in that system. I think he can be pretty damn good.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I'm not saying a guy that's got to go out there and score 15 points, but he can do a little bit of the both sides. He can get downhill a little bit and he can defend a little bit. What about like Kobe Johnson?
Yeah, Kobe Johnson's a good defensive player. He offensively struggles, but again, if you get him on the right system and the right team, where he don't think he has to score at all, then I think he could be a heck of a player because he's a great defensive player. But I think he tried to do too much offensively that he's not capable of doing. But I think he could fit, again, in a good system, And I think what these guys will learn, and, again, not being critical, but you watch them play, for the most part, the defense was absolutely horrible.
I mean, and that's why I kind of pointed on Kobe because he was probably maybe the one guy, the one guy that could defend a little bit. And I think a lot of that had to do with he was actually probably the strongest guy we had. Obviously one thing he's got to have to go after is big guys
Yeah.
in this
Oh,
in this portal. I mean, you know, we have one guy, but man, we need to have need to at least have a couple guys because you see what our rebounding was like when Jesse wasn't in the game. I mean, it really wasn't top notch when Jesse was in the game.
Right.
You know,
Right. And he was, you know, our big guy, he was kind of weak physically, you know, he was thin and kind of weak. He's a good player. But physically he just wasn't good enough, you know, and again, I think if you add a big body in there and get somebody big and strong, then that helps a guy like him who can actually play a little more open, you know, and a little bit further away from the basket. But, I think these guys will learn real quick that they're going to have to play defense to play for this guy.
So do you think the next step is building this team or building the staff up?
From my understanding, he's bringing a lot of his own staff with him, which I think is good because of the continuity amongst them. Or between them, and I think that'll be good that he does that. I'll be quite honest with you. I love Deshaun Butler. You know, I've talked to him a lot and know him pretty well, and I think he'll be a good coach one day. Jordan McCabe, I've only talked to him a time or two, and a great guy, a great young guy, and I think he's awful young. He just needs some time. But I think of that coaching staff, the one I would keep would be Alex Ruoff, because I feel like he's
been around.
He's been around, and he does a lot of coaching. And with this team this year, he did really, like in practice, most of the coaching. And I think he could be a real asset. And I think he probably needs to keep one of those guys on the staff, just because of the ties.
I seen it came out today that he's got to have $1.4 million to fill a staff.
Yeah.
So I think that can be done. Yeah. I mean, I've never. Funny thing is, I've really never paid attention to the salaries on the basketball side.
Right. Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So
I guess you could write him a check, or we could get Dr. Crist to write him one.
Well, I'm sure he's on his 7th vacation in the year of 2024 already. So.
In fact, we had an open house at the place where I work up at the.
So what? He was on his way to Maine for 7 weeks or what?
Actually, we had our open house for Aspire Recovery Services, and he showed up to our event. It had Ms. Gail Manchin up there with us. He showed up, and he actually spending a few days at the resort up there, the Stonewall Resort, and then heading down, I think, somewhere in Virginia to spend a day or two. So, he's on a little ramble right now. So, maybe he can just write him a check, maybe, and get that. I'll tell you another thing I liked about this guy, too, that I learned last night from Daryl. Daryl's good friends, of course, with Coach Catlett. He played for Coach Catlett. Coach Catlett was tickled to death that Coach DeVries called him.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah,
just to pick his brain a little bit and talk a little bit about Morgantown and WVU and that sort of thing. And I thought that was a pretty classy move.
I mean, you really think that, Ren talked about today about, top 20 program. And we really are. And, we've been a stable program. You think, how old me and Darren are, and this is the 4th only coach the program's had since we've been around.
Yep.
So.
And I grew up from childhood to adulthood with Coach Catlett. He was the same guy every year, And so it's a pretty stable program. It's got a lot of good history, and I think this guy's off to a pretty good start here with his actions. I think that'll be good. All right. Let's transition real quick over to football.
Okay.
Coach Neil Brown has already had a couple of press conferences about spring football. We got a list of the people that are out in spring practice and the people that are transferring in and participating from other places. And I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination about any of this, but I really like Neil Brown. I know a lot of people don't. I like him. I think we need to leave him alone, let him coach. I think he's getting more comfortable in this role. And you listen to his press conferences, the man knows football. I mean, you just listen to him talk, and it just blows you away with what he knows. But I think he's getting more comfortable with everything. And I think, he's starting to get players in there now who can play in the Big 12. And I know he's excited about the season just listening to him talk. And one of the things that stood out to me in his press conferences, both days, he's had 2 so far, both days, he talked so highly about Nico, the quarterback, and how much progression he'd make and how much maturity he'd gained.
Well, getting off Nico just for a second, going on that, I mean, I'm talking about the kids we're bringing in now being able to play a little bit. We kind of saw that this past year, and Ken Kendrick said on another show from how how much we've come from a year ago in the NIL.
Yeah,
right. and that's just a big thing about it. I mean, that's the name of the game now. But I heard Neil a few weeks ago on the show. First he was talking about Beanie, what Beanie brought. Not obviously he became All-American, but what he brought to the room, what leadership he brought to the room, and how those guys work now. And obviously, I think Garrett Green and Nico almost kind of sounds like they're BFFs.
Yeah.
And they make each other get better is what's going on.
Yeah. Nico,
and that can't hurt the whole team. If the whole team sees that, then
he came in so highly touted, but he's taken that role as a backup and kept working hard. And I wouldn't be surprised in the fall to see a little bit of a rotation with those two in and out. Some I know people hate that, but they're both good enough. Why not?
Well, and we know how Garrett plays, and there's going to be a time where he's going to be banged. It just is what it is. That's how he plays. And Nico's going to have to come in and do his thing.
Yep. So
and I think, and he's obviously done that the past 2 years.
Yep. So and if he's better than what he was, that's great. I think they talked about Audrey Burke a little bit. Stone Wolfley did last night about watching him in practice and how mature he was and how he was kind of leading the young guys around and kind of helping those guys. And he was impressed by the way the older guys were helping the younger guys and how much energy there was at practice. So it all sounds good. Wanted to read this list of the transfers that have come in. And Frank Fear provided this for us last night. This group was ranked number 19 by the on3.com group that ranks portal people. And we got Garnett Hollis, a cornerback from Northwestern, and from what I understand, he's a really, really nice player.
So Keenan has already said online that he's a cornerback. He moves like a cornerback, but he's a safety. So that means and what Neil likes is long guys, and I think that's what he means by so it's all good what Keenan said about Hollis there.
Yeah, and Neil Brown talked a lot about last night about training these guys in multiple areas. So he said, we're training safeties to be corners, we're training corners to be safeties, we're training linebackers to be linebackers, and all the other terminology that they use. But he talked a lot about the cross training that they're doing, and he said it's the first time they've really had that luxury to have the type of athletes that they can do that with. So that's another encouraging thing. Jaheim Joseph, a safety from Northwestern. Jaden Bray, wide receiver, Oklahoma State. Reed Carrico, linebacker from Ohio State. T.J. Jackson, a defensive tackle from Troy. He is the highest rated. Xavier Bosley, offensive tackle from Jacksonville State. T.J. Crandall, cornerback from Colorado State. Aiden Garnes, cornerback Duquesne. Ty French, outside linebacker Gardner Webb. And one thing you notice about this list is that it's filling areas of need.
The good thing is, all these guys were able to get here for the winter and then participate in spring to get acclimated to us. Last year you could say, well, Beanie didn't come to us till after spring ball. Well, how many times are we got to get a guy to come after spring ball and he becomes our 13th All-American?
All-American, yeah.
That's not going to happen too many times. So it's good that we're getting and it was kind of good that we got the two Northwestern guys. So they kind of came after spring semester started, but it was something like Northwestern. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about summer school, but they do their fall and spring semesters in quarters. So they came after the first quarter in the spring semester got done. So that's why they were able to come and go ahead and participate with us, which that's just loopholes that I don't know
about. Yeah. And I think this is another area of improvement that Neil Brown has showed. He's starting, it seemed like before in the transfer portal the last couple of times we lost a lot of good players and then we would take in just the best players that were in the portal that we could get, not necessarily people that we needed to fill areas. And I think he's learned that. He's filling areas of need. We lost more players than we gained, but I think our net gain was a whole lot better than our net loss. And again, I think that's a positive for our football squad.
So I was reading on, and I've kind of said it a few times on this show, always talk about the numbers.
Yeah.
You got to have 85 is the limit. And that starts when fall camp starts. It doesn't have to be right now.
Right.
So we had one player already announced that he left this past week. And there's another player that it's I'm not going to say the name because it hasn't been officially said, but he's already left the team. And I think that puts us at 88. So there's going to be just a few more. You need a few more, and maybe how spring ball goes. One of these guys are down low on the depth chart, and they think they had a good spring.
Yeah,
they don't think they're moving up. They might leave or something like that. Just it's just the name of the game now.
Right.
Yep.
That's what it is. You're going to lose people,
and we can sit here and think about who it can be as long as it's not any surprises. I think Neil kind of said a few weeks ago we really had one surprise kid leave, and that was that defensive end.
Yep.
And that was after he had that good bowl game. Is what it was. But we brought the kid in from Troy. Is what we did.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yeah. And like I said, the quality of player that we lost this year was not nearly as severe as the quality of player was in years past. So I think all that's good news. And I think part of that, I talked about this last night. Part of that, Neil Brown got a restructured contract, and in his contract, he took a pay cut. And he took a pay cut so his assistant coaches can be paid more.
Yep.
And I said, when players see coaches like that sacrificing, you're talking about a lot of money, $1.5 million probably. And when they see him sacrificing because he thinks they got a good thing going, then I think a lot of those players are going to buy in for that reason, and say, hey, he's with us, we're with him, let's go do this, So hopefully that's the way it'll pan out. Good stuff going on in football. We'll have more football stuff as we go on. We'll try to get some football people on here next couple of weeks to talk about some of the stuff going on in the spring, and maybe we can end up at Kegler's again when the spring game rolls around. That's where we were last year. That's where we were last year.
Somebody has to be feeling better is the problem.
Yeah, we'll have to get Darren in shape and get him up there. Darren's having some procedures done, and he's going to be out of action for a while, maybe not able to travel to Morgantown with us, so we may not be able to do that, but we'll try.
Yeah.
Next on the list,
not Kegler's, we can go to.
We go upstairs, I guess, to the office, since he'll be laying in there, stacked up.
Right.
Next on the list to discuss is W's baseball team. We always leave them out. Got another good baseball team. They're 15-10 right now. They're 4-2 in the conference. They have a 3-game winning streak going on right now, and they have Oklahoma State coming to town for a weekend series. I don't know if you pay much attention to their baseball.
Is JJ back or no?
Not yet.
He's not back.
No, and they've been winning. And
well, that's good. A guy that's going to be a top 5 pick, so to speak.
Yep.
And they've been winning. I know they beat Akron there Tuesday night. So,
thing I like about them is they got shellacked by Ohio State there. They won the first game, then they got drilled by about 20 runs in the next one, but they came right back and won the next games. And I thought that shows a little resilience on these guys. They don't tuck their tails. And they got a couple good pitchers, and I think when Weatherholt gets back, they're going to be pretty solid again. Yeah. So I'm pretty excited about watching. We'll go check out a game or two up there because we're passing by them all the time. Been to watch them practice one time, and that was pretty cool. But I think they're going to be good. Women's basketball, Gorb, we've already talked a little bit about this the other night. Monday night, the WU women lost to Iowa 64-54. And I might add, it was on Iowa's home court, which I think is ludicrous for an NCAA tournament. But it's all about the money, and they want to have a home crowd. And I think that's very unfair. But nonetheless, that's what we were faced with. The WU women played extremely well. They had chances, just couldn't make shots when they needed to. And I copied down some stats here before we talk about it. Looking at the field goals in the game, WVU made 4 more field goals, 4 more 2-point goals than what Iowa did. WVU made 4 more 3-pointers than what Iowa did. The assists, West Virginia had 14 assists to 7 for Iowa, 8 steals to 4 for Iowa, 8 turnovers to 14 turnovers for Iowa. We had 13 fast break points, 6 for Iowa, 27 personal fouls on us, 11 for Iowa. And on the free throw line, WVU was 3 for 5, which is not bad, but Iowa was 25 of 30. So we made more field goals, we made more threes, we forced more turnovers, we had more fast break points, we had more assists. Unfortunately, they shot 25 more free throws than we did, and they made 25 more free throws. They made 25 of 30. So the game was won by them, obviously, at the free throw line. But WU's girls played really well, played a good hustle, hard defense.
Man, I tell you, Coach Kellogg, I think he's definitely taken – he definitely understands. Of course, I think this is who he was beforehand, but – if that's a WVU coach, I think that's pretty. Yeah. He takes the role of it. How, man, the Quinterly and Harrison, they are just in you 24/7, and the good thing is they should both be back.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. I think Harrison's only a sophomore and Quinterly is a junior, and then you throw good. I mean, Watson made some shots there. The Moore girl made a couple, post play moves there. They need another scorer.
Yeah,
they need another scorer.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people want to blame the officiating and it was poor, I thought, but. I thought West Virginia just missed too many shots. They were 9 for 34 from a 3-point line, and their shooters were the ones taking the shots.
Well, they're in the first half, and man, she made a couple there in the second half, but man, she had some wide open threes there in the first half, and she couldn't make anything. But they had some shots in the lane in the first half that, man, if they could just got it, and they would have had say like a 6-point lead at half instead of being down by 2. It would have been good. But I tell you what, if Wren, I think Wren knows some basketball.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say he does.
So,
yeah, he knows a lot of basketball, and he's on a lot of committees, NCAA committees and stuff. Yeah, he got him a good one there. Yeah, they were good. And like I said, a lot of people wanted to blame the officiating. I just felt like West Virginia just didn't make shots when they should have, and could have made all the difference in the world. They had a lot of wide open 3 looks that they usually knock down and just didn't make them. And I know that's hard to pressure and all that. I know they weren't missing on purpose. We just missed too many shots. Too many shots we normally would have made.
But they definitely handled themselves in the moment. They had they've never played in front of that type of crowd before.
Right, in front of that crowd, play a player like her.
They handle it. They handle it, and they made it. They made it about them, not them.
Yep.
About us, not them.
Right.
So.
Yep. And like I said, I know again people were. The officiating was bad. I mean, I'm not going to lie. They struggled.
Well, I remember there at the end, and Harrison went to the bucket, and I thought she got fouled.
Yeah,
and then so she gets back up and gets right on Caitlin, and she beat Caitlin to the spot, and they call that foul on her. They call foul on her.
And another time, a girl, I forget her name, the blonde-headed girl that shoots her threes. For West Virginia, she missed in the corner, but the girl come by and hit her arm and about knocked her down. She hit her arm so hard. Coach Kellogg went nuts on that one. And the official standing right there just didn't call it. And I know there's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there that says, oh, there's no way they were going to let Iowa lose. They want Iowa in that final because people will watch, et cetera, et cetera. And, they're right. No, I'm just kidding. No, I just thought we missed too many shots. You got to overcome the officiating sometimes. Yeah. That's just the way the game is. All right, moving on to the men. I got some numbers here I want to read through. It's going to take a minute.
All right.
This is some of the stuff from the Sweet 16. I ran across this today. I thought it was pretty interesting. Some of these, some of them are not, but some of them are. 6 previous national champions are still playing. Arizona, Connecticut, Duke, Marquette, North Carolina, and North Carolina State. Still in the tournament. 1 previous champion from the past 5 tournaments still playing, defending champion Connecticut. That's the only one in the last 5 years. You had Kansas, Baylor, Virginia, and Villanova. They're all gone. 6 teams with no titles but Final Four experience are still playing. Gonzaga, Houston, Illinois, Iowa State, Purdue, and San Diego State. All of them but Iowa State have played in the national championship game. The other 5 are 0-7 there. Iowa State's lone Final Four trip was 80 years ago. So I got them picked to bid the championship game. 4 teams in the Sweet 16 who have been to a Final Four: Alabama, Clemson, Creighton, and Tennessee. 90 tournament appearances for the 4 teams never to get to the Final Four. 1 team in the top final AP poll, top 10, are not in the Sweet 16. That is Auburn. 3 teams that did not get a single vote in the AP preseason top 25 who are in the Sweet 16, Clemson, Iowa State, and North Carolina State. 1937 was the last time Creighton and Tennessee met in basketball until Friday night in Detroit. Tennessee won the first time. 23 combined Final Fours in the past 60 tournaments for Friday night opponents in Dallas, Duke, and Houston. 0 previous meetings between Duke and Houston. 22, that's Connecticut's average margin in wins in the past 8 NCAA tournament games. That's pretty impressive there, 22-point margin. 31 minutes, the Huskies have trailed in those 8 games out of 320. Never trailed by more than 8 points, and they're pretty solid this year as well. They're pretty good. 12 for 46. That's Connecticut's 3-point shooting in the tournament so far. So maybe opponents can draw some help and hope from that. Make them shoot threes. 7-0, Purdue's record this season against teams who are now in the Sweet 16. They've beaten Gonzaga, Tennessee, Marquette, Arizona, Alabama, and Illinois twice. A lot of people forget about Purdue. Purdue's a pretty solid squad, too.
Right.
4 teams who were ranked number 1 at some point this season are still playing: Arizona, Connecticut, Houston, Purdue. 1 team who was ranked number 1 at some point this season are no longer around, and that is Kansas. So that just shows you what the name recognition and reputation does for you, because they weren't very good this year. 13 tournament games won so far by the lower seed. The biggest gap was number 14 Oakland over number 3 Kentucky. Real quickly on that, I say it all the time. These mid-major teams like Oakland have people that's been playing for 3, 4, 5 years. They have 22, 23-year-old kids who are grown men playing against Kentucky's freshmen who are 18 years old. So it makes a big difference. And I don't know that those are always upsets. I think the seeding is what causes the upset, not necessarily the games themselves. 53 total of all seeds added up in this year's Sweet 16, total of all the seeds. So I don't know why that's in there. 6 teams ranked in the top 11 scoring offenses still play. Number 1 Alabama, Arizona, Gonzaga, Illinois, and Purdue. Scoring defense, there's 2 teams left, which makes tonight one of tonight's matchups really good. Houston, number 1 scoring defense. Iowa State, number 4, seed, number 1, number 4. I think Iowa State was number 1 in top scoring defense. Teams last year, 7 teams from last year's Sweet 16 return: Alabama, Connecticut, Creighton, Gonzaga, Houston, San Diego State, and Tennessee. There are 2 Sweet 16 teams that weren't even in the tournament last March: North Carolina and Clemson. 2016 is the last time a defending champion, Duke, made it back to the round of 16 the next season until UConn did it this year. 5 teams scored at least 100 points in a game the past weekend. I don't remember that. 6 teams scored at least 100 points in a game in previous 10 tournaments. So that tells you what a difference in scoring there is. 1 overtime game, the entire 23 tournament. 5 so far in the 24 tournament. That's pretty neat. 45 years the NCAA has been seeding this tournament. 41 years double-digit seeds has advanced to the Sweet 16. This year it's number 11, North Carolina State. 3 teams from the Mountain and Pacific time zones are in the Sweet 16: Arizona, Gonzaga, San Diego State. 0 national champions from the Mountain and Pacific time zones in the past 26 years. 4 players in the top 20 nationally in scoring are still playing. Number 1, Zach Edey from Purdue. Number 3, Terrence Shannon from Illinois. Number 10, Jaden Ledee from San Diego State. Number 11, Mark Sears from Alabama. Number 13, R.J. Davis from North Carolina. And number 18, Dalton Connect from Tennessee. 1 school with both men and women in the Sweet 16. Duke is the 1 team, but Connecticut, Creighton, Gonzaga, North Carolina State, and Tennessee have a chance to join the list on Monday. So both of them could be in the Sweet 16. So that's just some wild and crazy numbers from tournaments and tournaments past. And we're going to talk about some of these games, some of these matchups here in just a minute. Again, I know people don't want to sit and hear me read, but this is some information on the teams that are involved. Last year's national championship game, UConn takes on San Diego State Thursday night. That's tonight. Last year, the Aztecs struggled against UConn, the lopsided 76-59 win for the Huskies. I personally think it might be the same way tonight. Just my opinion after watching UConn, because UConn is daggone good.
Yeah.
San Diego State enters as massive underdogs, but if they can shoot as well as they have been, and they can hold UConn to their poor 3-point shooting, maybe they'll have an opportunity. The other matchup in the East is one of the most anticipated: Iowa State taking on Illinois. The reason why that's so interesting is Iowa State's number 1 ranked defensive team, defensive scoring,
and Illinois might have the best.
They're number 1 ranked.
They got offense. I think they got the best 1-2 punch.
Yep.
You said Shannon, and I think the Domask Is that his name?
Terrence Shannon.
Yeah, Terrence Shannon. He's averaging like 24, 25 points.
Yeah.
And then Domask is like 18 points or something like that. Yeah, right. It's a pretty good 1-2 punch they got.
Yep.
So
yeah, Domask, I think Marcus Domask, I think.
Yeah,
that's the way you say it. But they've been knocking. I think Shannon scored 40 the other night. So it's going to be interesting to watch Iowa State because they play some D.
Yeah.
So you got the number one offense going against the number one defense, and that's why I picked Iowa State. Defense wins championships, baby. Of course, if I had to bet money on it, I don't know if I'd bet a lot of money on it. So anyway,
I've already gambled today, so I'm good. I won today. I won money today.
There you go.
So, yeah, it was cold today too. God dog.
All right, on Friday, number 1 seed Houston takes on number 4 Duke. The Houston team ranked number 1 for a large portion of the season and looked unstoppable, and they kind of fell apart. It says in the Big 12 championship. Now they've given up nearly 100 points to nice seeded Texas A&M in a second-round shootout, and this is especially concerning for them, giving up those points like they have been here lately, and that's not characteristic. Duke has been playing extremely well. We watched them against JMU, and they just shot the lights out of it and just drilled JMU. NC State, that's, I guess you would call them the Cinderella story, I guess. This is their Sweet 16 appearance, their surprise Sweet 16 appearance. They're playing number 3 Marquette, and they got a big man, big man.
DJ Burns.
Yep.
He is
he's a horse,
man. When he has the ball and you play 1-on-1 with him, you're probably going to get beat because he's pretty damn smooth.
Yep,
and if you come and double him, he's a pretty damn good passer too.
Yep.
So
he's a good player.
I don't know if your best bet is to lose 1-on-1 or do you give the ball, force him to give the ball up and make his teammate beat you. And they do have a couple shooters. Right. So
yep.
I don't know. You take your pick on that.
Yep. And Marquette has former Big East Player of the Year there on their team. Kolick, I think is his name, Tyler Kolick. And Marquette will play good defense as well. Shaka Smart does a great job with those guys. So that ought to be a pretty good matchup as well. The final game of the Sweet 16, number 2 Tennessee and number 3 Creighton. Creighton has that high-powered offense. They've been shooting like crazy. They've got a couple stars in the backcourt, Baylor Shearman, I believe, and Trey Alexander. They got a big center, Kalkbrenner, and if they shoot the ball well, they're hard to guard. He's a good rim protector, and they're pretty tough. Tennessee's a really good team, and they have some All-American Dalton Connect. He's one of the best players I've seen this year.
He's good.
Yeah, he's a really good player. So it should be interesting. Frank did another interesting thing last night. He put up a chart of the power conferences and how many selections there were in the tournament and which ones are in the Sweet 16. Starting with the Pac-12. You had Arizona, Oregon, Washington State, and Colorado in there. Arizona is the only one left, 25% of the teams that were picked. In the SEC, you had Tennessee, Auburn, Kentucky, Texas A&M, Florida, South Carolina, Mississippi State, Alabama. So they had 8 teams in. So far, they have Tennessee and Alabama left, which is also 25%. The Big 12, Houston, BYU, Texas Tech, TCU, Baylor, Kansas, Texas, and Iowa State. That is a total of 8. They have 2 left, Houston and Iowa State, 25%. The Big 10, you had Purdue, Northwestern, Nebraska, and Michigan State. And there's some Illinois. So you had 5 in there. You still have 2 left, Purdue and Illinois, 40%. The Big East, you had UConn, Marquette, and Creighton. So you had 3 in there. UConn, Marquette, and Creighton, all 3 there.
All 3 there.
Yep, 100%. And then the ACC, which people talk about how bad it was, UNC, Duke, North Carolina State, Virginia, Clemson. You had 5 total teams in there. You have UNC, Duke, North Carolina State, Clemson left. So that's 80% of those guys. So the Atlantic Coast and the Big East, quite a number of their teams still sticking around. All right, Gord. Now is the moment. So Here we go. So I think what we'll do, we'll take us a quick break, and then we're going to look at the Sweet 16 bracket, and we're going to give our expert opinions and picks so that if people want to go out and win millions of dollars by following what we say, we will do that as long as they share it. But I will say this. My original bracket has Kentucky winning it all. Are they still in it?
No.
I didn't think so. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll return after these messages here on the New River Network. Stay with us, everybody.
Retro Reset Wrestling is coming to you every Thursday at 9 p.m. on the New River Network. See hard-hitting wrestling action from today's rising stars in independent wrestling. If you are a wrestling fan of any generation, let us introduce you to the hottest wrestling promotion in West Virginia. You can also join a live show at the Crossroads Mall. Retro Reset Wrestling is coming to you every Thursday at 9 p.m. on the New River Network.
Welcome back to the Courtside with Coach Crist show. Greg Crist, Dave Gorby. Been talking a lot about the Sweet 16, the NCAA basketball tournament. Real quickly before we get off the air tonight, Gorby and I are going to go through the Sweet 16 bracket, give you our picks. If you want to win some money, pick the opposite of what I do. Because like I said, I've got Kentucky in the national championship. Now I'm not sure if they're even playing or not. Somebody might have beaten them in the first round. All right, so in the East, we'll start in the East. We probably know more about the East bracket, I would say. Yeah, probably. So on the East side, and we'll do. We're not going to do them in any particular order or games. Some of them are being played right now, and we have no idea who's playing, who's winning, or anything like that. UConn, San Diego State is first, and Gorb, I'm going to take the Huskies because I just think they're really good.
Yeah, I will too.
All right, so Gorb's taking UConn as well. Now, you can't copy all my picks.
What?
All right.
Are you going first every time?
Yeah, probably.
I see. Yeah.
All right. Illinois, Iowa State is the other game in the East. I picked Iowa State to end up in the national championship. I've watched Illinois play, and they are dang good. But I'm sticking with my pick. I'm going with Iowa State.
All right. There you go. You get off my back. I'm picking Illinois.
All right. So Dave's going with Illinois. Like I said, I watched Illinois play. They're pretty daggone good. We got Houston and Duke. I'm going with the Cougars.
Yeah, I will too because I ain't picking that other team.
We can't.
Jamal Sheed, you better do your thing.
We can't pick Duke.
I ain't picking Duke.
No. Anyway, this is the South bracket, by the way. NC State and Marquette. That's a pretty tough game to pick. North Carolina State's been playing really, really well. Marquette is pretty good. I'm not a big fan of Shaka Smart, but I'm going to pick Marquette.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do.
All right, so we got Marquette right there, and we got Houston up here. All right, down in the West bracket, we've got North Carolina and Alabama. I'll let you go first on that one.
I see how it is. I am going to go. Here you go. I'm going to go Alabama.
Alabama.
I like Sears. I like them.
Okay, so Gorb's going to pick Alabama. I am going with North Carolina. Again, North Carolina playing really well, number one seed. Got to like them. All right, next bracket in the West, Clemson and Arizona.
Now, that's being played right now. Yeah.
That's being played right now.
Let's check out that score. Nah, I'm going to take Arizona.
Yeah, I'm taking Arizona as well. Watched them play a couple games. They're pretty good as well. I think these matchups are good. I'm not sure Clemson. I wasn't impressed with them, but they're playing pretty well right now. Purdue and Gonzaga.
You know, it's hard to go against that big man. I'm going to take him. I'm going to take Purdue.
So Gorb is going to take
And the funny thing is, this was probably Gonzaga's worst team.
Yeah.
In a long time, and here they are in the Sweet 16.
And they play good come tournament time.
Yes.
They're tough.
God, dog.
I think I'm going to go with the upset right there.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Gonzaga. Just because the way I watched them play the last time, I thought the way they played, forget who they played, somebody good, and they just wore them out. Michigan State maybe, and just really spanked them. And no, it wasn't Michigan State. JMU beat them. I forget who they played, but they looked really, really solid. And it was supposed to be a good matchup, but they blew them out. In the last game in the Midwest, you got Creighton and Tennessee.
I like that boy for Tennessee. I really do.
Yeah, I do too.
I think I'm going to take the Volunteers in
All
that
right,
game.
so we're both picking.
Old Ricky Barnes.
Yep, both picking. Tennessee and that connect, like you said, one of the better players in the country. He's All-American. He's tough. He's a good player. And those should be some pretty good games, really. That's some good matchups. You get down to the Sweet 16, your pretenders kind of bow out, know, and you got your players in there after that, and you got your solid teams in there. And I think this is a pretty solid Sweet 16. A lot of the names we're familiar with, a lot of teams we haven't seen for a while, so it makes it even a little bit more interesting to see some different folks in there. So it should be interesting. We'll keep track of this, see how we do. And anyway, I had Iowa State winning out and getting the national championship, but I did have them play Kentucky.
And of course, here's a little update. Clemson is beating Arizona.
Of course they are.
By 5 with 12 minutes to go to the ball game. So go ahead. Go ahead.
Switch my answer. Hey, like I said, if you want to win money, you just bet the exact opposite of what I pick, because I'm horrible at this. And, I watch a team play and they'll drill somebody. I'm like, man, those guys are good. But then you watch them play a good team and you're like, they're the so-so, And so it's hard to gauge when you don't see them playing really good teams all the time. But anyway, we got a guest we were supposed to have on just briefly, and I can't seem to.
He's not calling us.
No, he's not calling. So
we got to call him.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yep. Might have fell asleep on us
with the TV that loud.
Oh gosh, it was awful, wasn't it? Well, let's be out.
Your call has been.
Hello.
Oh, there he is.
I was about to say, are we calling 3DP?
Really? Nobody was going to answer.
We've
been waiting for a call here, and we didn't get it, so we decided to call you and see what was going on. And I want to make sure I tell everybody who our guest is. As everybody knows, Charlie Baker is the head of the NCAA. He's the director of the NCAA. And our caller tonight happens to be the assistant to the NCAA director of Fairness, Equality, Landscaping, and Sewage. So this is who we got on, and his name is Charlie Snaker, a real close name to Charlie Baker. So Charlie Snaker, welcome to the show.
Yes, sir, Coach. It's good to be on, and appreciate you calling me. And,
well, didn't have much of a choice, Charlie.
Yeah, well, generally, the guest caller is a little more informed about, the appropriate time to call me. So, I was patiently awaiting, and but anyway, here we are. So, so what's going on there tonight, Coach?
We just been talking a little Sweet 16, been picking our brackets, and talking about the girls tournament in Iowa and West Virginia game and that sort of thing. So that's what we've been talking about. So we'll see what your take was.
Fantastic game, fair and equitable, and we were really excited about. Purdue and West Virginia gave it their best shot, but came up a little short. And
I believe that was Iowa, Charlie.
I mean Iowa.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, we're Purdue, same collars.
Yeah.
Anyway, similar colors,
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Well, really not. But I don't get to watch much. Since I take care of the landscaping, and sewage. But at any rate. Yeah, so how is your bracket going, Coach?
Well, me and Gore both picked Arizona, and they're losing right now by 5, but to Clemson with just, I don't know how much time's left. But
there's still time. There's time.
There's time, but we're so far, well, my original bracket, 64 bracket, the only team, I have a few teams left that's still winning out, but my championship team got beat in the first round by Oakland.
Yes. That's what I figured that you sports guys who know everything and know so much about it, would pick someone like Kentucky to
win the entire thing. And people like me who thinks West Virginia played Purdue. We have Iowa State to win our bracket, and so it just goes to show you don't have to know anything about it to win a bracket.
Well, sadly for you, I still have Iowa State in the championship, so it's probably a bad sign.
Yeah, that is a bad sign. Bad sign for me. But I believe you probably had Kentucky beat you. Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Let's make it very clear and point out that you absolutely picked the biggest loser of the bracket. Anyway. So, Coach, my boss, he's a pretty interesting guy. And, as the assistant and Ron, and landscaper and sewage guy, I am a WU grad and, broke. And, my cuz there, the president or the CEO of the league or chairman or whatever you want to call him. They don't tell me his title either. But anyway, he's, former Republican Harvard grad, and he was the governor of Massachusetts. I didn't know if you were aware of that.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Sure did.
Yes.
And won by a wide margin.
Yes. The last time.
Yep.
But we do have, he and I have some similar things in common. And, I had to help, in a league that I help run in the summer. I had to elevate the play of Charlene Clark in order to bring attention to that league and to get to the 6 loyal fans out. And,
that was the Have League, I think, the Heiko Anstead Vicker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, Charlene actually, she was over in the
area. She was in the Greenbrier Rotary, whatever it was, league. I forget.
Yes, the Rotarian League.
Did Coach Comet ever show up?
Well, no, but he and I are friends, and he's probably close by there, Mr. Gorby. So maybe I can get him on here.
There you go. Yeah.
And so anyway, we did what we had to do to get Charlene some attention, get the 6 or 7 people in the stand, sell some popcorn, and but our cousin, my cousin has to do what he needed to do for his star, Caitlin, and I mean, his or our association, the NC2A, whatever it is, and what he had to do was cheat. And I mean, the only recognizable names in women's basketball right now have to get to the big stage, Charlene and Caitlin. Yep. And I'm telling you, Coach, that's where the money's made, and everybody knows it. But you and I both know that the rules have to be changed, Coach.
Yeah.
And I mean, they need to be changed at halftime, depending on the score, the potential for our stars not to make it on to the next round, because that's a financial disaster.
Yeah.
And so we have to sell Little Caesars advertisements and get people excited to come out and see Muggy McLeod fly overhead. Yep. We may even have to let the old Iowa Snake Eyes and the Smoot Smokies. We just got to make sure that they play in the final rounds, and we may have to let them play them at home as well, because we have to do whatever it takes.
Yeah. Well, apparently they are. Yeah. And you need to get some more revenue streams other than depending on a home crowd. That's not fair.
Right. And that's what we're working on. See, so not necessarily cheating, Coach. Maybe it's just good management, vision, and great new ideas and innovation, like women's flag football.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, think about it. You have powder puff football. You have all these things. You have, what's that bikini football thing they got going
on? Lingerie. I've never watched it, but I've heard about it. I've read about it. I've read the articles.
Yes, I believe it's in some of those lower channels on the Fire Stick. Yes, sir. But those things are brilliant, and my guy Charlie, he's working on that flag football situation because it will be an Olympic sport. So he's trying to get ahead of the game, so to speak.
Right. Yep.
But I will tell you, Coach, we did both learn how to win at any cost from one of the best in the business.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe he's even been on your show before. And, that's right. Mr. Gorby mentioning the legend, the man himself. He's here now, Coach. Coach Comet.
Oh, Coach Comet, what's up?
All right. Let's go.
Coach Comet.
Yes, sir, Mr. Gorby. Thanks for mentioning me. I know I'm a big fan of yours, and sounds like you're a big fan of mine. And let's get the facts straight, okay? Nobody watches, nobody cares, so do whatever it takes to bring in some dough.
Dough.
All right. Okay. You just leave that P. Diddy at home. He makes the fans at the women's tournament nervous, and it just, it's just a little scary thing. All right, you guys, hey, get the push up in there. Get the push up. Let's go. And all right. Back to your real caller now, Coach. We need to get Mr. Schnicker back on there. He's a buddy of mine, and I try to advise him the best way I can.
All right, Coach Comet. We appreciate it. We should have dug through the archives, pulled Coach Comet's picture up, but we wasn't ready for that, so we didn't know Coach Comet was going to make an appearance.
Thank goodness we're not that
Coach,
cookout.
Yes, sir, Coach. I'm very photogenic, and but anyway, I gotta go.
Yeah, you got nice.
I got chaos going on over here. Hey, Rudolph! It's basketball, not basket weaving. Let's go. Okay,
Coach Comet. That's all right. We always enjoy Coach Comet.
Yeah, just knew Mr. Gorby is a big fan of Coach Comet.
Absolutely.
And, Mr. Gorby's fan base must be growing because his beard is sure stopped growing. I mean, trimmed up nice and neat like a soup sandwich.
Yep. We decided he was a little more talkative last week. Then we understand he had a female watcher over at Calacino's. So Gore shaping up a little bit.
We did. Not just me. We did.
Oh, we did, he said.
Bones did. Where's Bones at? Do we need Bones to call in right now?
Yeah, she watched Bones Jones, apparently.
Bones Jones, yes, sir. I heard Mr. Comet earlier. Coach Comet saying something about he may have to get into the rap business, rapping business.
Let's see what Darren says about that.
Rapping business for Coach. You get it, Coach Comet? The rapping business.
Oh, I got it. I've gotten all the lighters Coach Comet's thrown tonight.
Charlie, talk about pictures. Charlie Snaker's picture looked like looked like he's seen a ghost or something. He looked a little scared.
Yeah. Well, Coach, you never know what you're going to see when you start cleaning out the sewers and the toilets. The NC2AA offices. So anyway,
sounds like you might be hanging out at the dog park tonight.
Well, I am in charge of security as well, Coach. So we have a couple of, German Shepherds hanging out because the Mountaineer fan base is a little upset with the fact that they kind of got screwed the other day. But, hey, whatever it takes, that, we needed the 38 fans from Iowa there the next round instead of the 22 fans from West Virginia. And, so we had to do what we had to do.
So I know a guy that has dogs, German Shepherds like that. I call them Rise and Shine, Gorb.
Rise and Shine.
You know why?
Go ahead and say it.
Because they wake me up every morning at 7 o'clock on the dot, doing what they're doing right there.
Man. What time does Snoop wake up?
Snoop he'll sleep till noon if you stay in bed. If Jody stays in bed with him, he sleeps with her and me. But we'll talk about that later. Go ahead, Charlie. I'm sorry.
And I did notice the other day, Mr. Gorby, Coach Crist had another case of peanut butter for whatever that's worth. Maybe that's why Snoop stays under the covers. Anyway, okay, Coach, I need to get off here. Charlene and I are going to Little Caesars, try to get some of those P. Diddy tickets that Mr. McLeod mentioned. And, she's a 7th year, 8th grader, so, she's a 28-year-old.
Right.
And, okay, Coach, on to the Sweet 16 where there's money to be made and 25 fans will be rooting them on.
All right. You need to stop over by Possum Holler Pizza here in Greenberg.
Yes. Well, yes, Charlene does have an NIL deal with them, and she's probably owed a free pizza. It's about that. It's about that time. So.
All right. Well, y'all go enjoy it.
Yes, sir, Coach. And in the words of P. Diddy, if you can't cheat them, beat them, or something like that. Okay.
All right, man. Good to talk to you, Charlie. Keep that NCAA straight up there.
Yes, sir. We'll keep them straight.
All right. Bye-bye, Charlie.
Bye-bye.
Charlie Snaker. Whew. Corby, I don't know if it's a good idea to leave these calls till the end of the show or not. Might need to go ahead and get them over with.
Thank goodness Charlene didn't get on there.
Oh my gosh, yes, Charlene was right, wasn't she, the other night? Whew. All right, Gonna know to do it for another round of foolishness. That's our Sweet 16 round of foolishness. We appreciate everybody tuning in. We look forward to coming to you again next Thursday with another great show. I know a lot of people aren't tuning in tonight because they're tuning in to basketball, which is where we need to be, Gorb, watching some basketball. Hopefully they'll tune in and watch the archived version. So it's just as good.
Hey, we got to like and subscribe.
That's right. Get them likes and subscribes in there. We appreciate you. We appreciate you joining us for another Thursday night. We will see you again next Thursday. Good night, everybody, from the New River Network and Courtside with Coach Crist. Talk to you Thursday.